sense of soul.
Hey Soul Seekers, it's Shanna. Journey with me to discover how people around the world awaken to their true sense of soul. Now go grab your coffee. Open your mind, heart, and soul.
It's time to awaken.
Today on Sense of Soul, we have Lauren Morgan. She's a trauma recovery and business coach, an energy master and mystic, and the founder of Wild Wisdom. Lauren empowers frustrated women everywhere in their fight against imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs, and self-sabotage so they can turn their pain into purpose and transform their wounds into wisdom. Her personal experience with healing practices like Ayurveda, hypnosis, meditation, shamanism, energy work, and core belief work transformed her into an embodied healer and coach. And she's with us today. Please welcome Lauren. The name of your business, Wild Wisdom. I love that, by the way. I've been studying wisdom for the past few years in the Gnostic Gospels, the goddess Sophia. You know, it's a Christian doctrine that was hidden, but there was a mother god, and she was wisdom.
Of course she was. What else could she be, right?
Exactly. Right. And the divine feminine is rising. And so I love what you're doing. I love, that you're pushing through the conditions of, can women actually have power? Can they have business? Can they be healers without being burned at the stake?
Yeah, so without sacrificing what their wants and their desires, right? Like understanding that we really can have it all. We can have success in our relationships and our business. It can all co-create and just co-mingle and just fill us up in every direction instead of just trying to wear ourselves down and do the people pleasing and trying to give from our own cup. We can fortify our field and be in that place of service and always being able to just deliver and have it be food for us too, right? To refuel us as we're serving at the same time.
Ooh, I love that. Growing up, serving was something that I thought for sure I couldn't wait to do because I had watched all the women before me, just serve. And I wanted to be like that too, right? As a child, I played like that, right? I remember I had tons of Cabbage Patch Kids. I had like 6 of them, and I would pretend I'd drive them around, and surely I did live up to my dreams and my imagination. However, really, there's been a lot of things I've healed within my lineages, and now I look at my daughters, and I can see that actually has changed. Like there are ways to change or to modify our DNA to where it doesn't have to be your life. And the martyr doesn't necessarily have to be your fate. You can still be a woman and still serve, like you said, without letting it drain you, which is how I felt most of my life. And, you don't have to actually birth children to feel like a complete woman either.
Yeah, I love how you bring that up because myself, I don't have kids. In my 20s, I thought I wanted them. I knew at that time I was going through so much of just healing my past and my trauma. It's really deep shit. And I knew myself enough knowing that my stress response was just uncontrollable. I couldn't trust myself and what I would do when I was really stressed. I was like this walking trigger. And I knew if I had kids, it'd put me in this position of just not trusting myself as a mother or as a caretaker of life. And through that process of just really deepening, knowing I had to heal first before I was willing to bring life into the world, it was really something I had to sit with deeply and hard and confronting all these different scary aspects of myself that I didn't want to admit that I had. But just continuing on that path of healing and integrating and doing the ancestral deep work, I'm a completely different person from doing the really hard, deep work. And now I'm at the point where I know that if I choose to bring life into this world, it'd be a completely different journey, a completely different process. And it feels so almost out of body, but it feels like lifetimes ago, but really numerically, it's not that long ago. But doing that ancestral healing and healing myself and focusing on me before I was bringing life into the world, it was definitely breaking cycles as far as like you're expected to have kids at these ages and things like that. But I'm so grateful that I did that for myself.
Timeless healing, right? It truly is. I was thinking about this. I'm going to be very vulnerable this morning. I've been having like a lot of stress around, really not with me directly, but like family. And I was sitting there getting dressed this morning and I was like, there's so many people that have checked out recently or have passed or however you look at it. And I was like, God, is it my time to check out? And you know what came through like almost immediately was like, no, just because you're going through something right now, this is actually only going to strengthen you, right? It's going to show you the world from a different perspective. It's going to, gift you with compassion. All you need right now is just a little hope and a little encouragement. And definitely now that I'm speaking it, I've heard this more than once over the past month. And it is always this gentle mother-like voice that comes in. So thank you to that mother goddess that speaks to me. But we all think, sometimes like this is just too hard for me to handle. My brain cannot get through this. It can't take any more, right? My body is in pain from all of the stress, or I just want to lay down and do nothing. And a lot of times our bodies and our brains, they can't. They can't do it. But we're multidimensional. We're not just our brain. We're not just these thoughts. We're not just this body. We're not this pain.
Yes. And I love how you bring this up because it brings like that really good perspective of we're so much more than our physical flesh. But at the same time, we still have to take care of this vessel. So to do that multidimensional work, we still have to care for this physical body to be that hollow bone. And I definitely resonate with those moments of sometimes you feel like nothing fucking matters. And then moments where like everything matters, like matters too much. And it's like, how do you find that balance of nothing matters, but everything matters? And yeah, it's like that conundrum of just being human and multidimensional and knowing that we are here to experience life in human form, but we're not just like stuck in this human form. There's so much more to us and beyond that what we can see and really wrap our heads around. And that used to be where I would really get stuck because I used to spend a good portion of my career in the biopharmaceutical sciences. And so I was at this point of like, if it couldn't be like proved on a graph or a mass spectrometer or like physically touched, it didn't exist.
Mm.
And now I'm like more or less feel like complete opposite where I like the unknown. I like the magic of science not explaining everything and still learning to trust my body when I need rest. Give it rest. I don't have to understand why I'm tired, but if I'm tired, that's okay. If I'm hungry, let me feed myself. If I feel out of it, what do I need to replenish myself so I can come back to my energy, calm myself back? And when we give ourselves the opportunity to just refill our energetic field, our cup, ourselves, we can then serve at a much higher level. But it all comes down to taking care of who we are so then we can take care of the people we're meant to serve and our children, my 5 fur babies, all the above.
Yeah, I love that. In that moment, I knew I was meeting with you, and I just was like, I hope that you've sent me somebody this morning who will encourage me and encourage my listeners, because I know I'm not alone in feeling this way. In fact, I was getting bombarded with listeners and people and friends prior to me feeling this way. And I could feel myself being sucked in it. It was almost like the darkness was pulling me in. But in that darkness, which I think of sometimes like that womb, right? It's very dense and dark in that space. It's uncomfortable. However, this is the place where all is created. This is where the
Oh.
divine spark ignites.
Yeah, I always like to have that visual in my head where like a plant from coming from the earth, it's in that dark like nutrient-rich soil, and we don't always think of the darkness being full of nutrients, but there is a lot there for us to learn and incorporate and to experience and to just integrate within ourselves. And there is a lot of nourishment in those dark places if you're allowing yourselves to see it. And I can definitely attest to that because there's a good 2 decades of my life I was in a very, very dark place. I'm talking clinical depression, burning myself, suicide attempts, multiples, eating disorders, substance abuse, a medical mystery of me having seizures every day for 3 years. And there's at this again, 20 years of my life, I was just in this cycle of self-destructive behavior and just anger and just so full of self-hatred. And I realized at a point, more or less, when I felt like my body was failing me, even though it was trying to speak to me, I just didn't want to listen. And it started to speak louder and screaming at me. And that's pretty much when the seizures started. And I realized all of that was connected. When I started to focus on my own healing, everything was connected to when I was 6 years old and I was raped. And then learning how to process through that, it's, definitely some really dark days that I felt like I was never going to get out of. But it's just following that one step at a time. And like you said, that really sweet motherly voice came through for me one day. I was in the middle of this open field. My dogs were jumping up and down, having the time of their life, and watching them so full of joy. I got overfilled with emotion, but anger and jealousy because they were feeling all the joy that I hadn't felt in a really long time. I fell to the ground, screaming, I was crying. I even remember lifting 2 middle fingers up to the sky and giving the universe a giant fuck you. That's just where I was at that moment. And that sweet motherly voice came through as I'm screaming and crying and releasing animalistic noises out of my body, rolling around on the ground. That voice told me that life was not meant to be this hard. Life didn't have to be this difficult. And that sweet, sweet, tender voice was probably the first time that allowed me to make a promise to myself to heal unconditionally, to learn what true self-love and joy really felt like. And that tender voice, it still plays in my head once in a while, just reminding me of it's okay to feel pain once in a while, right? We're human. We're going to feel all those emotions. And we can feel through them without staying in them. And it's just allowing ourselves to have that space of tenderness and compassion. And, once in a while I check my pulse when I'm having a bad day. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm human.
Did that
That's
earlier.
what's going on. I'm human.
Not this morning. I mean, well, yes, this morning, but I had a very profound experience with this voice last week. In fact, my dogs wanted to come inside and I was like, no, wait a second. I'm you're gonna have to wait. I'm I'm getting
so
something
curious.
here. And what else I got, and actually this doesn't happen very often, but the time that it has, it's been very profound. But it was also, yes, I am that compassionate, loving mother. And I'm also the destroyer. I'm also a warrior. And there was this very strong, absolute polarity that came through. And it was the mother as well. And it reminds me of nature. It reminds me of me being a mother. How, sometimes there is that soft mom that will hold you and show you that softness. And then other times there's this wake up, get up. You got to get your shit done. We don't have time. It's time to go. And it's from a loving place, no matter what. I always try to explain that to my kids. I know I'm on your ass, but I'm doing this.
I love you.
I
love you.
Yes. I'm trying to hold you responsible for this because you have to be accountable for, and it's just those lessons that we have to learn. But I also thought about how, sometimes, I mean, I'm from Louisiana and in the Gulf of America now is where my family originated from in America in the early 1700s, late 1600s, very old. And that town, and the parish is Plaquemines Parish, and that town has been destroyed over and over and over. It also holds the memories of many, many slaves. Many, many slaves. We're talking like the year that Abraham Lincoln signed the proclamation. That did not include that parish. It's actually in parentheses. It doesn't include those. Yeah. It literally says that. No, not many people know. And at that time, that parish had over $300 million worth of slaves. Lots of trauma happened on this land. There's also the BP oil spill, where it killed thousands of pelicans and fish and killed the wildlife. People in my family had been their livelihood for generations since they started there. So there's all this trauma in this land. And I've learned to look at my body, the world, the systems. It's all kind of like the same, nature. When you look at things, like if I was to ignore or didn't know, which has happened to me as well, by the way, my listeners know there was trauma in me that happened to me when I was 11, that came out during these years that I've been podcasting, and it came through pain. And would I just ignore it? Or would I care for it? Or would I show it? Or would it cause a complete storm in my body if I pretend it wasn't there?
You're talking about just like the trauma of the land. I love working with the land. I do a lot of like energetic cleanings and things like that. My land clearing vibe just got all tingly. I'm like, I just want to go down there and do my little land clearing thing.
It needs it.
But I really appreciate what you said about just being in that space of being like, yes, this happened to me, but I don't have to let it define me.
Wow, it's so weird that I just thought about like that whole little town, that fishing community in the Gulf of America. So there was a curse that I found in my ancestry there as well. It was this old folk tale that had been told over the years that this priest had abused one of their children, and that the whole town got together and they killed this priest. And because of that, they were cursed. And there was this werewolf that would come in the night and scare the little children. And it was called the Lugaru. And it was a story that was told. And when I read this, it was very specific to this little fishing town. And it said that there had been a curse on this town all this time. And there's also like the stories of the slaves, and you could hear like the chains of them on the land. So all of these things. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, am I cursed? Am I cursed because of all this? This is what I was really thinking. And of course, there's a lot of voodoo in my family as well. I have Marie Laveau in my tree. So I was thinking to myself, you can look at this as an actual curse, or you could just look at the fact that maybe you have a lineage of alcoholics, addiction, trauma, mental illness, whatever it is. So I did research. There was an actual study done around curses where it has nothing really to do with the curse, but this was in the article. The guy was told that he had cancer and he was going to die before Christmas. And he just wanted to make it through Christmas, though. This is something that he really wanted. He made it through Christmas like the day after he died. Then in his autopsy or whatever, he didn't have cancer. He literally didn't even have cancer. But yet this is the agreement he made. This is what he believed.
Complete shivers down my spine because, yes, like our minds are so powerful and they really do create our reality, but it goes either way. Like you can call in these amazing opportunities, but again, the belief has to match it. And I've seen this a lot with working with our clients where they're trying to call in something, but they don't believe that they're worthy of it, or they don't believe it can really happen. And it almost like stalls it out. It doesn't allow yourself to really be open to receiving. And your mind can like manifest these amazing opportunities, but also death, right? These other really less optimal experiences into our lives. And I even read a study not that long ago where we're only actually using about 20 to 30% of the power of our mind. So it's like the other 70 to 80% is just doing what? It's just checking out. It's just like, having a cup of tea. But isn't that wild? Like there's other ways to potentially activate those other parts of your mind to the possibilities of what it could turn into and what you could experience and see, touch, know, sense, all the above, or even the unknown. That's the part I get all curious and like all giddy about. Is just the other unseen things that are there that we can feel, that we can sense, but can't see and can't always wrap our mind around. I'm like, oh.
Our brain is just on programs. It's running old programs.
Yeah, like a gerbil. I'm picturing like a gerbil or a hamster on the wheel, right? It's just doing its everyday thing, not questioning, maybe stop to get a snack and then come back on and go on.
Stop to get a snack, right?
I love my snack.
Yeah.
That crossroads, right? Like, okay, awareness is the first thing always, but awareness is like that weird, almost like purgatory kind of feeling. Like, okay, I know it's there, but I always usually do this thing, and that's what feels comfortable. Even if it has a negative cycle, I'm familiar with that. I know what that is. But now I'm at this unknown where I can go this way, and that feels different. It feels uncomfortable. I don't know what's there, so it's kind of scary. So it's like, what do I do? And there's so many different things we can do, which is what feels right in the moment. Saying, yes, I see you. I talk to myself all the time, actually, really, really helps. Where you just vocalize, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm recognizing this pattern. I usually go this way. And I can still go that way if I choose to. Am I making the conscious choice to go that way, knowing probably what's going to happen? I could make that choice. Or do I want to see what's behind door number 3? And what do I need in this moment to allow myself the strength, the courage, and to walk with that fear going into the unknown? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to have this like awesome affirmation, like damn torpedoes, full speed ahead? Do I need to like embark that warrior energy? Do I just need to have compassion for myself? What's going to help me get from where I am now to the strength and the courage, again, to walk with that fear, to go behind door number 3? And it's kind of scary at times, but it's also really beautiful to think, oh, I get to choose now. I get to choose. I don't have to ask anybody. I get to feel into it. It can take as much time as it needs to. It can change. I can change my mind. Hot damn, I can change my mind and it's okay. I can be one person today and a different person tomorrow. As long as just keep on aligning with who we are and following that, like, I call it the cosmic trail of breadcrumbs, because there's always one piece and one piece and one piece. And some pieces don't make sense then, but they always do later. And it's just allowing yourselves just to really find who you are. And it's okay if you don't know right away. I feel like sometimes we try so hard to figure out exactly who we are, exactly what our life purpose is. It has to be like, we have to know. But what if our life purpose is just always unlearning, but relearning, right? Remembering and just being in that experience of getting closer and closer to our highest self, to that, that source when they come back home to you. It's all about that journey. Being aware of the destination too. It's finding something that excites you, but not always holding that so tight where you lose the presence of getting there.
I know. Yes. One time someone had said something similar, and I had this visual of like continuously pushing back or always trying to get to that finish line. And it was like never getting there. And that can feel defeating. We've put ourselves in such a box with all the limitations.
That's such a good point. And there's always feels like there's new boxes, right? Because you feel like you have to be positive and happy and do ayahuasca 100 times or something, right? And it's just another, I guess, form or a different box to put yourself in. But it's just does that feel right for you, right? Just because it feels right for one person doesn't mean it's going to be right for the next person. And
Yeah.
just allow yourself just to, I always go back to authentic self, because if you go back to your heart space and really give yourself time just to sink in, be outside, put your feet on the ground, feel that dirt between your toes. It's in those moments of silence and almost like the level of boredom where you really just start to feel your own energy and feel who you are. And that's when those beautiful messages come in as to like what really, really actually matters. Not like, the fancy purse or, our these other things we feel like we need. When you let go of all of that, come back to yourself. The message you receive sometimes is just like, holy crap. Holy crap.
I found something the other day. In fact, I'm wondering where it is, but it was a floor mat that you plug into not the electrical part of your outlet, but
Oh,
the bottom
grounding?
part. And it's grounding. It's a grounding mat, and I could ground myself, I could sit here and have my feet on it. But like, really? I mean, come on. Is that real authentic grounding? When I can just seriously go outside if I wanted to and put my feet in the dirt, like you just said, it's what made me think of it. I mean, yes, it's fine. It's good. I'm not knocking anybody. Sometimes we've got to do what we got to do. We got to work a long time indoors or whatever. Just there's so many things, that are being replaced, are substituted for authenticity.
Yeah, and when you say, like, the grounding
Artificial.
mat, they're never as effective, right, as, like, putting your feet on the earth or even just getting, like, a jar of dirt for the wintertime. Just stick your hands in a jar of dirt. I've suggested that to different clients, but
Yeah.
reminds me of, like, when you see a beautiful sunset, right, you try to take a picture of it. What
Mhm.
you see,
Okay.
witnessing with your own eyes is never the same as what you're seeing on your camera, and that's kinda like the same thing with grounding mat, right? It's gonna be
Yeah.
okay. It might, like, be it might help some people, but it's never as
No.
real or as, like, really, like, deeply grounding as being outside. Yes, there's so many, like, times we try to find excuses as to not do the thing that we know fills us up, right? Because 'Cause we're in that pattern of, like, trying to give all of our energy, and we don't even realize we're doing it half the time, but just how simple is it just to go outside, sit on your porch, look at the sun, listen to the birds, feel the wind across your face. It's so amazing and so free and freeing, and it can
Yeah.
do so much in just, like, 2 minutes of presence outside or even just presence in general. 2 minutes can do so much more for you than hours on autopilot.
Yeah. All these artificial things. The little lights that you could just click on the bottom, just like a little flame, a fake flame, the little
Oh,
tea
yeah,
light.
little fake candle things.
Yeah. I did a initiation one day, and that's what I used. And I was like, dude, seriously, I'll never do that again. I was like, what? I mean, the whole thing about it is fire. Well, and then someone said, well, it is like electricity. I was like, come on. I'm like, it's just not nature.
We did a ceremony in Florida, the other weekend, and we had, like, real candles and also, like, the small little candles in case they burned out, and
Yeah.
we tried to turn on those small ones just for our altar in the middle of ceremony, and we're like,
It just
so
doesn't feel
scared.
right. It's nature. It's different ways of working with this amazing magical space that we have that we take for granted.
Yes, and I've done a lot of shamanic studies myself, and all around the world, they use different techniques. Some are, like, some to clear the energy field of a person, they're snapping.
Yes. Right?
Some have, like,
Tapping.
yes, or there's, like, certain, like, vocal thing
Yeah.
that they do. Some take the aya or the, coca leaves and, like, layer them together and just kind of like it's like a fan per se, but it
Yeah.
has that
Yeah.
rattly sound, and sound can be very, very effective just to cleanse and to, break up the energy field. It has the same purpose, right, as some of the scents
Yeah.
because it gets in those different places that we can't really see or always, like, understand where they are. And the
Yeah.
intention is just is a big part of it, but like you said, it's all those natural things, like, it's
Mhm.
still nature. It's still
Yeah.
nature, it's still human, it's still authentic, it's still beyond human too, it's bringing those multidimensional pieces together because we can't see sound, we just know, like, the effects of when we hear it, And we
Right.
can't see like the waves of the
Right.
wind and the smoke and things like that. The only reason we understand is because we can see the way the smoke moves. But there's so many different things out there and the unknown that just, get me all giddy.
I know, right? Well, and there's also a lot of healing properties in sage. I mean, it's like antibacterial, and I did not know that. I mean, that's amazing.
That is, I'm gonna have to Google that.
But that's just the thing. It's like there is a purpose for everything. I mean, you could sit there and gaze at a flame, and go into a meditation. I mean, I've actually looked in a flame and saw like the universe.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
flames are
Yeah.
incredible.
Right.
So
Yeah. But it also can represent things. I love that. We've just been so confined to such simple and limited understanding of things. But yeah, when you're present with it, it's pretty amazing.
yeah, nature can speak to us so deeply. I know we kind of touched base
Ooh.
a little bit before, but like with the flame, I love keeping fire. I keep fire at a lot of different ceremonies, and I love how like inclusive fire
Mm.
can be because I put a lot of like intention. I connect with the fire as to like where to place the wood and like what
Mm.
wood pieces to use. It really like speaks to me. It ends up being just like this super amazing and incredible like co-creative experience. With the inclusive aspect of it, like there could be 30 people looking at the exact same fire, but
Mhm.
everyone's getting a different vision or a sense or an energy that's just particular and just for them. And
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, it just blows my mind. And sometimes I go down that rabbit hole trying to figure it out, but then I'm like, wait, I don't need to. I don't need to. Fire is medicine. All the elements are medicine. And
Yeah.
there's so much to each of them. And they all really relate to one another too, right? Because you need like the earth to help with the fire and the air, and the water needs air and earth to help it channel. The
That alchemy.
Fortimus. Yes, absolutely. And how they just work together and the synergistic aspect of them and just the teachings that they can give
Mhm.
us. That feeling of just always being in the just the teacher to the student, always allowing yourselves to learn. There's so much to learn, so much just to be present and be curious about.
I've always felt that as a mother or a teacher in those roles, I've learned more than just being a student. I always suggest to people, like, if you want to learn how to do Reiki, if you really want to understand it, like working on someone else is like the best way to experience it.
Yes, I definitely relate to that where I do energy medicine as well, not Reiki, but it's called guided energy medicine. They're like, think of a radio, they're like different channels, right?
Mm.
But I've learned so much just by giving and
Yeah.
being in that session of service, but just giving alignment and just the things that you become attuned to and experience. And there's so much to learn.
Yeah.
And teaching is a wonderful way, or even facilitating. It's just putting yourself in that position of selfless service is
That's amazing. You've really turned your pain into purpose, haven't you?
yes, I have definitely there's been I don't say a long time because years wise, not that long, but a big driving force for me is to, okay, I went through a lot of shit and I'm not letting that define me anymore. I'm not allowing myself to stay the victim or even like stay in that role of like the survivor. I was identifying with that for a while, and even the warrior, right? I went through this progression of evolving and along my path as I needed to. And I'm like, okay, this happened. What wisdom can I gain from that?
Hmm.
How can I allow this to expand me and to grow as a person and as an energy source? And it's just this divine like energy in this human flesh. Like, what else can I give to the world when I felt like so much was taken from me before? That was a
Hmm.
huge paradigm I had to shift. Once I allowed myself to see that, I have full control over my life to a certain point, right? Because the universe always throws some things at you, but I can choose whether I want to be stuck in that role of pain or if I want to take that pain and up level it and alchemize it into this purpose that gives me so much passion and joy and excitement and soul led fulfillment.
Hmm. I love that. Yeah, you busted out of the box and you broke some patterns, right? You got off the hamster wheel.
Stopped for a few snacks along the way, but yeah, break
And
some shit down, bust out of that box. It felt good.
now you're trying to help other people do the same. So when's your first book coming out?
I actually have two ebooks already, but
Good.
I have calls to actually to publish a book. And I love that
Yeah.
you said that. So you just know. But there'll be one for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, when someone finally awakens to, all this, I mean, it'd be ridiculous to just keep for yourself.
Right? Because
Right.
that's a whole nother paradigm of thinking that, we have nothing to offer or all these different things, but just our sharing our journey alone
Mm-hmm.
and just give people just, again, permission to do it themselves and feel like, oh, they get it, right? Because some of those really difficult things we don't like sharing with everybody. They're personal, they hurt, we're afraid of being judged, all these different like conditioning and core beliefs that we may have about sharing our voice and sharing who we are.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear other people do it and see other people go through that process, it gives us hope, gives us inspiration, encouragement, and being like, yeah, I can do this. I can freaking do this.
Yeah. If I can do it, you can do it for sure. People who listen to my podcast regularly, they're probably like, okay, first of all, Shanna has short hair in this episode, long hair in this episode. This one, she's like in the best mood ever, and totally. And in the next one, you can tell she's struggling and working with stuff. But yeah, that's life, right? I don't always, release in order. Like if I have somebody who's promoting something, I try to put them out there, and promote their book or whatever if they request. So sometimes it's like, different versions of me. But yeah, I think that 2025 has kind of been shit so far for a lot of people. And so I've really been focusing on not the shit, but how we can be the light, in that darkness, or how we can spark something from that darkness. Just not get overwhelmed or taken in by the dark, right? Because you are light.
The darkest nights, the stars shine the brightest, right? And like the fire, the candle, it gives off the most light when it's the darkest around it. And there's always those glimmers of light all around us. We just have to allow ourselves to see them and be open to receiving. And it's okay to be in the mud for a little while. We all have those moments of rebirthing, and 2025 has definitely been quite the death portal and a lot of murkiness. It's been in the collective for sure. A lot of shedding egos and shedding past conditioning, and it's sticky and murky and heavy, but rebirthing is.
Yes. Then I think that's what the message that I got when that voice said, like, I am the destruction as well, so that we can rebuild, something better. And it doesn't feel good when there's that instability or that unknown, that mystery. But I love mystery too. So
sometimes we let those certain aspects of us to fall away and to die in order to allow something new to grow.
We're so worried about what's going to be, instead of just being in the fun and curious of the mystery. Like, you don't always want to know the end of the book, right? Or what's underneath the Christmas tree for you. I mean, it's fun to not know.
I love that analogy.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. First of all, you have a very soothing energy. I feel like calm and kind of like I feel when I'm outside in nature. Yeah. Which is good because I'm a Taurus, so I'm always trying to ground myself. I'm a Taurus with ADHD. Very fitting.
I'm a Pisces and I have a lot of flow, and so I'm always working on grounding myself too, because sometimes I'm like too flowy. Like, okay, I need some sort of like avenue to.
You remind me of Pisces, yes. My oldest daughter's a Pisces. Like, she's not completely into this stuff, but she's like one of the most psychic people I know.
It's like a fish in water. Sometimes they don't realize they have it because you're so natural to them, right?
Oh, she realizes she has it. She just doesn't want anyone to know.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, Pisces are amazing. Gifted.
Yeah, it's a really learning your gifts has been a thing for me. And the more I healed myself, the more my gifts came online. But then it's like, holy shit, they're online. And so a lot of energetic boundaries and just a lot of
Yeah.
things.
And just think, you would have never found it had you not had all the trauma that you had to go through. That's kind of how I feel too. But I do think these younger kids will come into the world with less. I think they won't need that. It's like we needed that. We needed that so we could peel away all of the trauma, not just for us, but for generations and break that. But I think they're coming in, these next generations, with less. So they're getting there obviously quicker. I'm like, hello, wow, by 13.
Because we're breaking our cycles, right?
True.
It heals the ancestral line for like 7 years ahead and 7 years back. And so it's just, we're paving the way. We're just doing our work in order to help other generations.
That's right. So you work with people in all different fields, right? You're also a business coach, so you help people with their businesses.
So I love working with, like when you first start, like maybe your podcast or your business and you get really excited. And then like the excitement gets like overtaken by like fear and like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Can I even do this? Self-judgment, self-comparison. Am I even worthy of this? Imposter syndrome, all those things just kind of like take over. It's like the invisible force that just like stops you at every move.
Yeah.
So I love working with those like soul-led and heart-centered entrepreneurs who know they have something amazing to offer the world. There's just like that invisible force of those core beliefs and the conditioning that's just really kind of getting in their way. And so we help alleviate a lot of those pieces. And also I help teach them how to connect with the consciousness of their business because
I love
our
that too.
business is a living thing.
It is. Yeah.
And you can co-create with it or you can resist it. But when you co-create with it, things go a lot more smoothly and clients are attracted to you. And it takes a lot of the pressure off when you have that conversation and know what to do next because your business is giving you that guidance.
Oh my God, 100%. I say it all the time, that my podcast is its own entity. It always brings me what I need. And so that's why I even asked like this morning to send you to me. Thank you. But there's also been like, usually things will come in themes. If I'm trying to eat healthier, I'll get people wanting to talk about diet or something. It's always been like that. And so it's just interesting how it comes in waves like that together. But there's no doubt it's an energetic flow, and I've always felt like sense of soul is separate from, it is me, but it's separate from me. It has its own energy and vibe.
I get it. Like, I love it. And I love how you're like feeling that because it just shows that you are working together, right? And it's sensing you, you're sensing it. It's like a partnership. You have to learn how to communicate with, but once you do, it almost becomes like telepathic. Like my husband and I can think something, he just says it. Like, what do you want for dinner? He just says what I'm thinking. And you can have that same sort of that vibe with your business. So you get to know each other. And then there's a moments where you got to like have a clearing conversation, right? And do a little work on each other and compromise here and there. But just like any relationship, but it can be such a beautiful, beautiful just growth when you work with each other and help each other expand, and just that energetic match is just, it's incredible.
So interesting. It's so beautiful too. Also, I remember I used to crochet rugs, round ones, and I'd sit in the middle and it'd get bigger and bigger around me. And whatever I was going through in my life while I was doing this, I mean, like one time, my dad died when I was making this rug. And when it was time for me to give this rug to the person who ordered it or requested it, I felt like, oh my God, like I'm giving away like part of this process of grieving that I had been experiencing. I was very connected to it. My energy was. And I was so grateful that it was going to someone who actually had a connection to my dad, actually, now that I'm thinking.
Oh, that's incredible. You can't make this shit up, right?
Right. I didn't even ever think about it until right now. But yeah, whatever you're going through, isn't that so interesting no matter what you're doing?
Vibrations held so much just like energy, right? And it's
Yes.
funny to think because we don't always like really comprehend like the unseen, but we have cell phones, right? So this picture is and messages and words are being sent through from this device to that device. And we can understand that per se, but we can't see it being sent. And so with that analogy, I just kind of help people to kind of open their eyes and their minds to a little bit of what else is out there that I'm not seeing that doesn't mean it's not there. That doesn't mean it's not real. That doesn't mean I can't feel it or sense it some way with one of my gifts.
Yes,
Really.
it's so beautiful. Yeah. I can see how you would be very, very fun to work with, finding all of those things that are magical all around us and just grabbing them to use in this life.
Yeah, I love the woo. Like, I can go in deep, and that's definitely one of my gifts. And I can go deep into wherever we need to go, like into the light side, into the dark side, because I am not afraid of the dark anymore.
Yeah.
I've done my excavation. I can go deep.
Tell everybody where they could find you, Lauren, and shout yourself out.
Oh, thank you. Find me at wildwisdomcoach.com. I have a page of so many different free things on there. I personally love freebies. Go check it out. There's so much good free stuff. And if you're still kind of curious about me and just kind of want to, like, I don't know, Instagram stalk or something, you can find me at Lauren's Wild Wisdom.
Wild Wisdom.
I love that. I love the feral, just the wild woman, like, aspect of just, right? Because they're so, like, together, right? It's just like, how can you have one without the other? Like the feral, the wild, the woman. It's just beautiful.
That triple. I was about to say the triple goddess, but many, many great feminine teachers I've talked to have said that there is this wild part, called it many different things. So usually it's just like the maiden, mother, and the crone. Now it's not a triple goddess; it's like a quadruple goddess or something. But yeah, there's a lot of wisdom that comes with just acceptance of yourself, no matter where you are.
Oh, yes. Every part of you, the moles, the different pieces that make your personality, and just our bodies and beyond, like, just loving who you are is this thing that I never really knew how to do. But when you learn how to really love yourself, every aspect, even the ones that we're told to ignore or to shame, when you really give them love, you really step into a whole nother aspect of leadership, of embodiment, of spiritual connection. It's really incredible. Well,
great to meet you.
Yes, I had such a wonderful connection. I loved just chatting with you, and thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I feel so honored. Thank you so much, Shanna.
Sense of soul.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.